The Bonneville Shoreline Trail has been under construction for 30 years. Join me, Brandon Plewe, and my son Spencer as we hike the 200-mile length of the BST to learn about its past, present, and future, and explore the landscape of this boundary between the city and the wilderness. Well, we are out here on this fine February day. We're in Davis Creek in South Farmington. We had kind of hoped to hike all the way through the winter and finish up Davis County by the end of 2022, but we had a snowy December, and January was actually the wettest January on record. So first time we could get out here was in February, but the trail looks like we're in good shape here. It's frozen over. It's not too snowy, so we should be able to make good progress today, and we'll see how this goes. We're still hoping to be able to finish the trail in 2023 and get all the way up to past Logan. So we'll see. That's why we're trying to do this during the winter time, is to get as much time as we can on the trail. Looks like we have a bad inversion day here. You can see all that smog under the Ochre Mountains. Some of you know well what the inversion is, but just for those of you that don't, what happens is that we get a high pressure system, so we have high pressure air up above, and that warm air traps the cold air in the valley. Normally it's the other way around. That's why it's called an inversion. Normally it's cold up there and warm down there, but it traps that cold air, has nowhere to go. And so the natural smog that we produce in the city just has nowhere to go, and we constantly get worse and worse air quality. Normally that's what it looks like in January, but we had a lot of precipitation, a lot of storms that came in and blew it out and cleaned it out. But February we aren't having much precipitation, so this is what we're getting. Hopefully we'll have a storm soon to clean it out. Fortunately, the trail here, we're up kind of on top of it almost. I can see it kind of down mostly below us, so it's really nice up here, which is a great reason to come up to the Bonneville Shoreline Trail in the winter. Steed Creek here is one of those many lost creeks we've seen, where they have a beautiful little creek up in the mountains and it disappears before it gets to the valley, as all the water is diverted or underground or into water systems. That's some really nice, this metamorphic rock here. Some pretty old rocks up there in the mountains that have washed down here. That rock is really interesting, how it's got two different kinds of rocks that are like melded into one another, but I don't know anything about it.
You know what's interesting?
Huh?
The dark spots look like a T-Rex.
Oh yeah. We're following one of these typical version 1 kinds of trail here for the BST that follows an existing utility road or fire break road. But I think right here, let's see, yeah, right where this sign is, there's the county plan is to follow this small trail up and to have a single trail up a little higher that stays up high. Right now that trail just keeps going up the mountain. It doesn't actually connect as a BST yet, but that's the plan. So for now we'll continue on the road.
Hey.
Well, down there in the haze, we have a decent view of Lagoon Amusement Park. If you ever wonder why it's called Lagoon, originally it was actually further out there at the shoreline of the Great Salt Lake on the shore of Farmington Bay, which lagoon would then kind of make sense. In fact, at the time, turn of the century, there was actually several amusement parks and public beaches and big to-dos out there along the Great Salt Lake. But about 100 years ago, the lake started to drop a little bit, and the railroad that fed all of those went belly up, and a lot of them burned down. But fortunately, Lagoon was able to move up to this location and has been fairly successful ever since. beyond that, on the other side of I-15 out there, you can see all that high density is Station Park, which is probably Utah's most successful example of what's called a transit-oriented development, or TOD, which is where they have a major train stop, in that case Front Runner, and then around that they allow for high density development with the idea that people would be able to walk to the transit stop, walk to stores, and have a whole kind of walkable neighborhood there that would take traffic off of the freeway. Jury's still out on whether that actually works or not, but that one at least seems to be pretty successful. We've diverted here off of that utility road onto the up to the planned future trail. There is a bit of a trail here already, but has a kind of a tricky crossing here. Oh! Woo! That was close. But it looks like the trail's better up ahead. Yeah, I really like this alignment of this trail. You can see back there where eventually it'll stay up there on the bench and be fairly level trail as opposed to the road down there that keeps going up and down and up and down. But yeah, I like it. Things got a little confusing here in Farmington Canyon. You can see just a maze of trails over there on the other side. The planned route for the Bonneville Shoreline Trail is that nice level. You can see kind of a snow line there along that nice level trail there. But when it hits the mouth of the canyon there and those cliffs, it just completely disappears. So they're gonna have to build a crossing over the creek and through those cliffs. So for now, we're gonna have to go back down to the very bottom there and work our way back up the other side. Well, this is a bit of a maze up here, just like I thought. I believe Farmington City told me that the current official trail is actually this one right here. Kind of weaves up that direction. But I think we want to kind of explore the future route where there's some existing trail here. So I think we're going to actually go this way and get up on the trail there. Well, here's that old line we saw from the other side that will be the future route of the trail. Although from here, it looks more like a ditch than a trail. In fact, I'll bet it's one of those old pipelines that carried water out of the canyon down into town. In fact, oh look, here's one of those old cables that they had to keep the pipeline in place. Well, from here we can head up the trail. We keep seeing this really nice banded gneiss all over the place today. This is actually some of Utah's oldest rocks. This is part of the Farmington Canyon complex, including those rocks up there. And all of this was formed between 2 and 2.5 billion years ago. That's billion with a B. At the time, this was the edge of North America. What happened was volcanic island chains were come crashing into the edge of the continent and got fused into the continent. That's happened over and over again, and how we got the coast all the way out to California. But that crashing together compressed these rocks and metamorphized the sedimentary rocks into this gneiss. Well, that's surprising. I was clearly told that the current BST is down there a ways, and this is the eventual trail, but they'll need to build it straight across over there. We had to go down and come back up, which was really annoying. But if that's what the sign says, then I guess I'm in the right place. After our snowshoeing ordeal, I'm glad this is beaten in here. Well, I was told there was no crossing over Shepherd Creek. But clearly somebody has built this fairly nicely. There's actually some debate on this trail where Farmington City says that the official trail is down below, and I think the Forest Service and Fruit Heights City say that it's already up here. This is where the trail will eventually be. I'm guessing Farmington City wants to improve it before they actually declare it the official BST, because it's a little sketchy in places still. So just this trail that we've been on today, our experiment to see what the upper trail on the Bonneville Bench is like. I can report that the trail does exist. It's really pretty views. We're up so high above the valley. Really nice in places, but I think Farmington City is right. There's places that clearly need some rerouting or some serious rework before it's ready for prime time. Like this part right here. Well, we're back down here on the Bear Canyon Trail, which is in much better shape than what we were just on. And this goes up a little bit and crosses the creek, which is great. But from there, it actually gets really challenging. You can see up there, just barely, there's a good trail that comes around from the bench and kind of comes over to that top of that rock there. But from there on, it's really like cliffy and really steep, and they need to build a new trail there. Fruit Heights City has actually gotten a grant recently from the state that'll help them to build that section of trail, but they've actually had a hard time finding a contractor that can figure out a good route for it through there. We can't go any further, so I guess we'll quit here for the day and head down to our car at the trailhead.